Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to show you how to make your woodland animal for first grade. I will give you this package if you're in class, already cut on both ends, and all you have to do is tear it right up the side if it starts having trouble there. Now, if you're at home, you'll want to cut the two ends off and stick your scissors inside, and then just open that package up. Okay, so I have two pieces of clay. One's gonna be the body, one's gonna be for the head and all the extra details. So I'm gonna take this clay and I'm gonna start squishing it up, getting it soft so it's easier to work with. But the more you stretch it out and kind of squish it around, it gets that clay ready, kind of gets it softened for you. The warmth of your hand will help soften that up. So I'm gonna roll a ball, and the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna try to kind of put it into a ball shape first, and I'm gonna use my hand to roll around. I'm not pressing really hard. You can also put it in the palm of your hand and roll it around. So that'll be the body of whatever woodland animal I'm making, okay? Now, the next thing I'm gonna add, I'm gonna turn it to the side so you can see. I'm gonna roll it back and forth just a tiny bit so it's more of a potato type shape, and then flatten the bottom so that it'll stay on the table standing up. Now, you'll be looking at it this way. Okay, I'm gonna take this piece, I'm just gonna tear off half, and this one I'm gonna make the head. Remember, soften it up, squish it around to make that animal shape. So what 3D shape are we making when we're making it into a ball? So we are making what's called a sphere. A sphere is a round three-dimensional circle. So it's a 3D shape. Now with Model Magic, you don't have to scratch it or add water like we normally do. You just stick it right together. And as soon as the clay touches, you can see it's staying on there. If you ever accidentally put something on there, you can snip it off with some scissors. So that's gonna be, I'm gonna keep it a little flat on the bottom so it doesn't roll away. That's gonna be the head. I'm gonna press in if you got any lines, just kind of press it in. Okay, so I've got a head and I've got a body. Now all this extra clay is for my details. If I were making something with round ears, let's say I was doing a bear, I'd wanna roll a couple, try to get the same size before you start, roll a couple spheres, and then when you flatten them, I know that the bottom of a bear's ear is kind of flat right here. So it's like a half circle. Okay, so I've got, there's some ears. Now if I were doing more like a fox, I might pinch that into a point. This could be a fox, this could be a wolf. Give it some pointier ears, or even if you were doing a squirrel, okay? Now, if I were doing something like a hedgehog, I'd probably do this whole thing as one big piece instead of two separate ones. But you can also do two separate ones as well. So let's say I'm gonna do a bear. So I want it to be kind of a half circle, flatten it a little bit, not too much, stick that right up to the top. You can always shape it a little bit better once you have it on there. Okay, got my half circle. Let me get rid of that pointy part. And put that right up there. Now some other things that I can do is I might have a tail for my animal. I might have some eyes. I can either make the eyes or I can use a toothpick to kind of press in where the eyes are. The snout on my animal, where it sticks out, I'm gonna roll a little ball, flatten it, and then put that right down there if it has a snout. I can even take a little piece of clay and roll a little tiny ball. Make it into whatever shape you think the nose would look like. I'm just gonna make mine kind of round. I can even roll it around in my finger, stick that right on, and I've got a little nose. So I'm gonna show you just using the toothpick for the eyes, and then I'm gonna use the rest of this for the arms and legs. Now here's how I'm gonna make the arms and legs. First of all, don't let it touch your clay because it'll stick. Move your clay over to the side, and I'm gonna use my hands You can kind of squish it into a long little snake first to help you get started. And then I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna lightly roll it on there. So start in the center and roll your fingers out. Start in the middle, roll your fingers out. That's gonna help you make some little cylinders. I have it about as thick as my finger. I don't want it to be too thin. And I'm just gonna make these the legs for my animal. I'm gonna stick it onto the side. My bear is gonna be kind of sitting down and kind of press into the body carefully. You don't wanna squish what you've already made. So I'm gonna make a little bear sitting down. There's his little feet. This could be for any sort of animal if you want it sitting down. Of course, there's more than one way to make a sculpture. So just do your best, whatever you think it looks good. Now, Model Magic clay is sometimes pretty soft. So you don't want to pick it up and handle it too much. Right now I'm just kind of adding things on right there. And then I'm going to give it a couple arms or little paws. Okay, I'm going to push this one on this side. All I'm doing whenever I do these paws, when I pinch it off, if you make one side, you know, the rounder part where the paw is, this side I'm kind of pinching flat so it sticks onto the body. If anything falls off on Model Magic, you can always use liquid glue to glue it back on. So there you can see I've got the little body, I've got the head, I've got the snout. I still need the eyes and the mouth and maybe go in and add some little paws. So let me grab a toothpick. Anything pointy will work. It could be a pencil, a toothpick, anything pointy will work. Now you can always make the eyes. Let me show you that. If I take a little tiny piece of clay, otherwise you're gonna have big giant eyes. If you roll a ball and flatten it, take another smaller piece, roll a ball and flatten it, you stick it on, you've got a little eye. Looks like a little egg actually. Or you can just take your toothpick, stick it in, kind of go around a little bit, and you can have an eye that way. So do you like that one? Or do you prefer adding the eyes on like that? I think I like the second one. So I'm gonna go ahead and make another little egg. Flatten the ball, got a little pancake, smaller, tinier piece. Flatten it, put it right on there. There's my little egg. Looks like I fried an egg. And stick that right on. Now before you put your eyes on, unlike Miss Adams just did, you may want to go and actually make them both first to make sure that they're the same shape or the same size. Okay, so now I've got eyes, nose, snout, ears. I could also add, let me lay that down, a little half circle or smaller, flatter one inside the ears. You can do this on any animal, unless you're doing a bird, and I'll show you how to do a beak and some feathers if you're doing a bird. Roll the ball, flatten it, stick it on. Now you got the inside of the ears. For the mouth, you might try rolling a really skinny coil and make the little mouth. I'm just gonna do the smiley part, and then I'm gonna do another little skinny one to put right there in the middle where it's going down to the mouth. It's a little long, I'm gonna pinch that piece off. So now I've got a little mouth. You can kind of adjust it, make it look the way you want it to look. You can use your toothpick to help you kind of push things around. Okay, so now I've got my little bear. It's my woodland animal. Oh, he needs a little tail. Now, if you run out of clay, you can always just pinch out of the clay a little bit. It does kind of change the shape back there. Or you can take some of your clay off, make a little ball or a little cylinder shape by just going back and forth. Maybe I want that to be the tail. So I did a bear. Now, if you're doing something that has a beak, let's say you did some sort of bird. Once you roll a ball and it's rounded, if you just roll one side with your hand at an angle, you can see how it starts to get pointier. So if you were doing something with a beak, just roll the side will make that side get really pointy. Now, if you wanted to do wing, all you do is flatten it, and then look, you have a wing. That's also a way to do, let's say you have a bunny ear and you want it to be really long. You can kind of stretch it out a little bit. So all I did was I rolled a ball. Let me show you that one more time. I roll a ball, roll one side of the ball, it gets pointy, flatten it. So I made a cone and now I have like a triangle shape. If I'm making a bunny rabbit, I can bend those cute little ears down and put that on if I were doing a bunny rabbit instead of a bear. Okay, so I hope you had fun doing this. Put it somewhere safe. We are gonna go back next week. I'm just adding in some details like the paws using my toothpick. If you're at school, I will write your name on a piece of paper and we will put them in the closet so that they can dry, and next week we'll go back and color or paint them. Okay, so I hope you had fun making your woodland creature, whichever creature you decided to make. And I will see you next week.